I've been asked what I think about the new changes, the final set of changes before the new season lands, okay? Class tuning incoming May 9th. Is your spec going to be overpowered? I don't know. I think there's a few winners and a few losers here. I think some specs that were already good are getting way better, and some specs that were way too good are getting nerfed, thank God. So let's see. Here we go. In response to the data and feedback immediately following the Embers of Neltharion patch, we're planning to make adjustments to several classes. This tuning includes changes to talents in the live game and the testing values of several items that will soon become available in Season 2. The following will take place during scheduled weekly maintenance in each region. It's Tuesday for NA and Wednesday for Europe. So this is a class I'm horrified of. I'm not going to lie. Okay, this isn't sensationalism. I think Demon Hunters already are crazy. Okay? I think Demon Hunters are very strong. Very, very strong. And they're getting some significant damage buffs. So their melee auto attack damage is going up by 10%. Demon Bite damage is going up by 10%. Demon Blade damage is going up 10%. Fellblade damage increased by 10%. Isolated Prey now increases eye-beam damage by 30% when it strikes one target, was 25%. So Havoc Demon Hunter's got a huge single target buff, I think, and I'm scared. I think comps like DH Boomy are already really, really good, like already tier 1. I think it's going to be huge. All right, and then we got some Vengeance changes. Doesn't really matter that much. They buffed Shear damage, Fracture damage, Soul Carver damage, Focus Cleave got buffed, and Soul Crush got buffed too. Okay, so Druid. Here is another scary, scary, scary thing, okay? Let's take a look at Druid. Okay. Developer notes, in some single target scenarios, it's still looking optimal to cast Wrath in Lunar Eclipse. That doesn't meet our goal with how balanced should be playing. So reducing Wrath's effectiveness outside of Solar Eclipse and increasing its effectiveness inside Solar Eclipse to correct this. We're also boosting Balance's single target damage a small amount. So Boomkins in PvP right now are, in my opinion, one of the best casters. I mean, you saw it in Solo Shuffle, and even in threes, you know, at least in NA, I don't know how it was in EU, but comps like DH Moonkin, like I said, Moonkin Ellie, and I'm actually hoping that Mage Moonkin could be pretty good. I'm hoping that like Spicy Chicken is good. I don't know if it will be, but I think it would be sick if it ended up being pretty strong, because I always like playing with Moonkins. So hoping Spicy Chicken is good next season, but let's take a look at the changes. We got Wrath Astral Power Generation reduced. Okay. Wrath damage decreased. Okay. But Solar Eclipse now increases Wrath damage by 40%. So when they're in a Solar Eclipse, the Wrath hits really hard. Solar Force now increases Wrath's Astral Power Generation, while in Solar Eclipse by 60%, was 30%. Damage dealt by Fairy Dragon, summoned by Denizen of the Dream, is increased by 25%. So I wonder if more Moonkins are going to be playing that. Friend of the Fae now increases your Arcane and Nature spell damage by 10%, was 8%. So that's some solid changes as well. Rampant Ferocity now deals 30% of damage dealt by Ferocious Bite to nearby enemies. This Feral change. Terror Open Wounds now deals 50% of rip damage. It consumes, was 60%. So I don't think these are slight Feral nerfs. And then they buffed Restoration Druid Healing. Slightly. Paladin, all healing and damage decreased by 3%. Does not apply in PvP combat. So they nerfed Paladins in PvE, but not in PvP. However, there was a Vengeance Crusader nerf where transfers 500% of the damage into healing, was 575. So a Vengeance Crusader got a slight nerf, which I think is probably okay. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I know Paladins aren't necessarily the greatest, but I feel like it's not going to matter that much. I feel like while Avenging Crusader's up, nobody's dying anyways, even with this change. Now, feel free to disagree with me if I'm wrong, but that's the impression I get. And then for Monk, they buffed Essence Font Healing, Subtlety Rogues. They got overall damage buff, so 4% damage buff for Subtlety Rogue. They said class talents and previous modifiers, all damage from spell schools are important. In most cases, being updated and standardized with other similar effects to no longer affect external damage sources. Outside of those that belong to the class, this changes to the below talents, impact subtleties damage enough to warrant compensation, which is the reason for the buff to overall damage. So they nerfed Veil Touch, Deeper Daggers, and Dark Brew. No longer affect damage from sources outside of the class and spec abilities. Okay, so they just buffed their damage. I think that's going to be a PvP buff, obviously. And then we actually have the PvP specific changes. Restoration, Druid. I don't know. What does Budding Leaves do? Budding Leaves. Light Bloom's healing is increased by 5% each time it heals, up to 75%. Also increases Light Bloom's final bloom. Okay, so basically they buffed their bloom healing. It was nerfed by 50%, and now it's only nerfed by 30%. So Light Bloom got a buff, plus Druids got an overall healing buff, plus Druids got Dispel Protection. So Druids, I think, were not that great last season, but I think Resto Druid stonks could be going up a bit, with Light Bloom healing going up, with Budding Leaves being unnerfed. And then overall healing buff, and then also the new PvP talents that give them Dispel Protection, I think is really strong. And then this is the big one. So I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but in my personal opinion, and I don't really think that this is a hot take, I personally believe that Fistweaver monks actually ruin the game. That's how I feel. I feel like when Fistweaver monks are the best healer, and they're not kind of like a niche, because that's how I think that they should be. Like a Fistweaver monk should be something that you occasionally spec into, that is like kind of a niche. Into certain comps it's really good, into other comps it's not so great. But when Fistweaver monks are just the best healer in the game, it is way too oppressive for other healers, and it actually just makes the game not very fun. And I actually think it's a reason why like things like 2s are just dead, because Fistweaver monks actually just completely ruin the game. All right, so with my personal opinion out of the way, we can talk about the changes. So Mistweaver monks have received significant quality of life changes throughout the last few patches that have increased their effectiveness in PvP to a point where you see them as oppressive to the viability of other specializations. We're reducing many of the PvP multipliers associated with ancient teachings and their damage throughput, and we're increasing the effectiveness of Renewing Mist to encourage healing over time management and reduce Vivify's healing to keep their casting throughput relatively similar. Ancient Teachings effectiveness is now increased by 120%, was 150%. Black Oak Kick no longer deals 25% increased damage in PvP combat for Mistweavers. Black Oak Kick from Teaching the Monastery now deals 15% reduced damage. So that's like their AoE Black Oak Kicks. Tiger Palm now deals 15% increased damage from Mistweaver monks. Okay, Rising Sun Kicks damage reduced by 30% for Mistweaver monks. Vivify healing now reduced by 10%. Now reduced by 10% for Mistweaver monks in PvP combat. Was it something else before? So they nerfed Vivify, but they buffed Renewing Mist. Okay. So Renewing Mist got buffed, and then also, if you remember up here, their Essence font got buffed a little bit. So I guess they want them to have to heal with their hots a little bit. Some people, I'm streaming this, and people say Mistweaver monks are easy to kill on a stun. I don't necessarily agree with that. First of all, you have teammates, right? So there's a couple talents you can play as monk where you can port and stun. So if you get stunned, you just port away. You also have things like revival that you can use. So I don't think that Mistweaver monks just die in stuns. You have revival and you can port and stun. So then plus you have, if you're playing with like a rep paladin, for example, or a warrior, you can get intervened, you can get sanked. Like there's things you can do to survive. But yeah, I think it sounds like these nerfs are significant. And they kind of want Mistweaver monks to, play the punch monk style, but you also have to manage your hots, right? Like you have to keep Renewing Mist up. You have to use your Essence font if you want to like effectively heal. So I don't know if this is going to kill the spec. I've heard some people say it's not going to matter. It's still going to be insane. But we'll see. The good news is for monks specifically, even if Fistweaver sucks, I think casted Mistweaver monk is actually one of the best healers in the game right now. So it's not like this kills monks. It just makes it so maybe you can't play Fistweaver monk every day, every game. Because casted Fistweaver monk is still really, really good. And then they did some set bonus changes that don't think affect PvP all that much. But yeah, I'm really happy that they made these changes. Well, I'm not super happy about these ones. But you know what? If you're a Demon Hunter or you're a Druid, yep, enjoy. Because I think Balanced Druids are going to be absolutely really, really strong. And Demon Hunters, I think, should be pretty strong as well, especially when paired together. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens for Rogues, Paladins, and Mistweaver monks. But I think these are going to be the final changes before the season starts. But I still think monks are in really, really good shape.